www.pahumanities.org on the web. I'm sure you'll find something you like.
Thank you, Ann and Brian. You know, the humanities really are the key to unlocking the door to the things that we're passionate about, things like our culture. So what do you say we hear some more now from Temujin Ekunfeyo? Please welcome him.
I come from a long line of people who believe in making it themselves. My grandmother, my mother's mother, made soap and clothing, and that was done partly because during those days, from like 1916 on, and even before, a lot of the stores black people couldn't go in. So if you couldn't go in the store and the stuff wasn't available to you, fine, make it. But then we weren't the only ones that were making these things. White folks were doing it too. If it wasn't available, you make it. So I was taught from a very early age, if it's something you can make, why buy it? Get up off your lazy butt and make it. Okay. And I transferred that to my practice of traditional Yoruba religion. There are artifacts that are used to decorate shrines, to be used in rituals, drums that are played. Why should I have to pay for something that I can learn how to make? And so I did. Starting out, this is one of the first beaded pieces I ever made. I made this as a ritual piece for my wife. The priest that we were students of then, Chris Oleana, said, you know, your wife needs one of these. And I said, fine, where do we buy one? And he chuckled and said, you ain't gonna buy it, you're gonna make it. And I said, all right. And I went home and I thought for a while, because I had never done beadwork before, so I wasn't real sure what to do. And I wanted to put the shells in it. This is just one long strand that's wrapped around the handle of this stick. I had no idea it was going to turn out like that. None. And it made me look good. It made me look like I knew what I was doing. I'm glad of that. And of course, these are glued on. I wouldn't do that today. I'm a tad more sophisticated now, so I'd come up with a better way to do it. But this is what I did. This is how it turned out. I am very happy. 36 years later, we have this. Same basic idea. These shells are not glued on. These beads are still one single strand, but these shells are not glued on. They are sewn on, and then the beads are wrapped around it. This type of ritual piece in Yoruba is called ogo. In Spanish, it's called garabato. A garabato used outside of ritual context is a rake. You're chopping weeds, you chop down the weeds, you rake it behind you. In a ritual context, this is used by the Orisha called elegba. Elegba is the opener of roads and doors and pulling stuff to you. Well, you grab it, you pull it to you. Someone said, well, how are you going to grab the grass that's got all them beads on the front? Well, this is a ritual piece. It does not go out when you're cutting the lawn or chopping the weeds. This one is danced when someone who is a priest of Elegba is in the process of being possessed. They will dance with that piece either hanging around their shoulder or waving it back and forth. This is a piece that was made for the Orisha Ogun. Ogun is a blacksmith and a warrior and an explorer. You got to hack your way through the bush. You got to hack down the bush to build the farm. You have a machete. In Yoruba, this is called ada. This is a store-bought piece, and I decorated it with beads. This one, on the other hand, was made by me from scratch. The blade is brass. I got a piece of brass. I cut it in the shape I wanted, mounted it in the handle, and beaded the handle. There's a tad more work in this. I would never use this to cut the grass. That one I had used to cut the grass at one time, but then I needed a ritual piece, and rather than go out and spend the money to buy another one just to make a ritual piece with it. Yep, you like that? I made the tools to make the turtle on the blade. Nails. And I put the nails in the forge and heated the point and made it hard. And I found that brass is very forgiving. It'll allow you to do pretty much anything you want to with it. Unlike iron, you got to work a little harder with iron, but I did decorate that all myself. The blade was cut by me, mounted by me, the beadwork was done by me, and the turtle was put in there by me. Yeah, I am modest and shy, in case you haven't figured that out. This is another ritual piece for the Orisha Shango. So is this axe. More people associate Shango with the axe than they do with this ritual piece, and I'll talk about that. Historically, mythically, Shango was the king of the empire of Oyo, and his favorite weapon was a double-headed axe. So when Shango is being danced, often, and that priest has become possessed by Shango, he'll be handed a double-headed axe like this to dance with. This is called Oshe. This piece is called Kumambo, and there's a song. Boro akumambo abo akumambo, boro akumambo abo la alafi lekeda. And the basic translation of it is, or interpretation is, Shango only speaks once. You can fall off a house and not die. You can fall off a mountain and you may live. But if you ignore what Shango tells you, he's going to hit you upside the head with the kumambo. You will die and all your problems will be solved. So as a ritual piece to decorate the shrine of Shango, a kumambo can be made. This was a handle for a shovel. Hey, you use what's available. You use your head. It didn't cost me anything. I found the piece. I said, hey, man, I'm going to make a kumambo with that. And here it is. These next three pieces I'm particularly proud of. Not that I'm not proud of the others, but I am particularly proud of these. These are called ileke maso. The word ileke means beads. It also means necklace. What I'm wearing here are ileke orisha ikalorun. Ikalorun, that which hangs around the neck. Orun, neck. Ikalorun, that which hangs around the neck. These represent various orisha. When one is baptized into the religion, one gets 5 strands of these. One for the orisha Elegba, one for the orisha Obatala, one for the orisha Oshun, one for the orisha Yemaya, and one for the orisha Shango. This is standard. Everyone gets them. As you go on through the religion, if you get initiated into the priesthood, then you receive other orisha as part of that ritual. And many of the orisha have ileke. Had I worn all of the ileke orisha I have, I'd have a mass on my chest like this, and I'd be leaning forward. That's why I didn't bring them all. And then it gets a little messy and you can't really see them clearly, and I wanted you to be able to see these clearly. As an extension of that, you have ileke maso. These are only really worn twice in the life of someone who's been initiated into the priesthood. On the 3rd day of a 7-day ceremony to initiate a person into the priesthood, the new priest is presented. We dress them up real pretty, and we bring in everybody to ooh and ah over the baby, because they are considered a baby. And they ooh and ah over the baby, and the baby wears a strand of these for the same 5 orisha or 6 orisha that I mentioned. And they're quite heavy. But then later, these would be used to decorate the shrine area of that person, and they would go on the sacred objects of that orisha. This one is for an aspect of the orisha Obatala called Obamoro. Each orisha has their own colors and color combinations, and soon I'm going to receive this particular orisha. I made this piece for an exhibit that was done in February of 2009, and it was at the Society for Crafts out in Oakland. So I made this to go on that exhibit, and in time it will have a ritual use. All these other pieces here before you already have a ritual use. This one will one day. Oh, glass beads, all glass. Glass beads in purple, glass beads in white. This one, on the other hand, it's glass beads, There are some plastic beads, and there are beads made of deer antler. In the 40 years that I have been in a religion, I have never seen a piece like this. And I'm glad, because that makes this an original and unique. I had some antler. In fact, I had one antler, the set of antlers, and the skull piece in between was broken. And my wife found it at a flea market. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And I realized I had not made an ileke maso for the Orisha Oshosi. Oshosi is a hunter. In Nigeria, it would not be antlers like this. It would be antelope or oryx or ibex. Since those don't run the woods in the New World, deer antler that we can get on this side of the ocean is what is used. It's a lot easier to get them. Hunters pretty much throw them away. Not everybody keeps the trophies. And so I wound up using the antlers from that deer to make this ileke maso. And I also found out just how hard antler is. I broke half a dozen drill bits drilling this so I could sew this cowrie shell on to add the bling. I didn't realize that they were as hard as they really are. So I cut it up. I made discs from sections of it to make beads. This is the part that would be closest to the head. There's the button. Same thing on this one. This was from a smaller antler, a different one. So this is at the other end of the piece, and little spikes from another. And I had never seen it done anywhere else. I had never seen it in a book or in a video about it. And I was inspired to do it, and I did it. I made one for myself and one for my wife, who was also a priest. And now that I've mentioned my wife, she had a great deal to do with the making of this one. You will see that there are large beads that are red and black and white. They are made of paper. Paper. I did not make these beads. My wife made the paper beads. I don't have the patience to do it. She does. She doesn't have the patience to do this work. I do. So we have a great relationship. She says, "What, you gonna make that?" "Yeah, I think I'm gonna make that." "You want some paper beads, baby?" "Yeah, I want some paper beads." She makes the paper beads. I put them to work. It's lovely. Now, for other things that are made of animal products, here we have a fly whisk. This one is not a ritual fly whisk. I started with this one for a reason. This one's made with a horse tail. Skin, hair, used to hang on the back of the horse. It's a fly swatter. People figured out a long time ago that once you've eaten the critter, it doesn't need a tail anymore. You ever see a Big Mac with a tail on it? No, never. If you ever see a Big Mac with a tail on it, don't bite it, because it'll go and hit you with the tail and walk away. But once people figured out that you could use it to swat flies, just like the critter that used to own it swatted flies, works out. White ones are rare, and so if you see somebody carrying a white one, they're pretty special, because it costs more to get rare stuff, just like anything else. Rare horsetails, whatever. This is also hard to get because white horsehair is used to make violin bows and viola bows and cello bows. And those folks will go in and buy up every skin in the slaughterhouse. So it makes it hard to get a hold of them. This tail was mounted in Nigeria. Horses are rare in the forest areas in West Africa because of the tsetse flies, and the mosquitoes kill them. Horses are delicate. You think a big, strong beast like that would be delicate? They are. They are quite delicate. And so they get diseases from those bug bites, and they expire. This is made from antelope tails, and there's 4 of them on here to make this piece. And this piece goes with the piece for Obamoro. This is what it would look like with the tail mounted before it's beaded. I wanted to kind of give that idea. But 2 years ago, a friend of mine in Miami gave me a gift of nearly a half a dozen of these, hanks of hair. So yeah, man, you can make them fly swatter things you make. And I'm thinking, how am I gonna mount that on a stick? It ain't got no skin. How am I gonna sew it on there?